I think so too, and it's also seeing the mistakes that other fighters have made. When you're growing up in the gym, you're seeing guys that spar too hard, or seeing guys that get hit too much, or seeing guys that take the wrong fights, or seeing guys that don't fight smart defensively. You know, one of the things that people forget is that Floyd went through a big transition of his own. If you go back to the early parts of his career and you watch when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, he was a much more aggressive fighter, and he would put himself in danger.
What happens when boxing's richest legend takes to the mic to break his silence? For years, Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta "Tank" Davis seemed like an unstoppable duo, a mentor-protégé relationship that promised to dominate the sport for decades. But in recent years, their bond has fractured, leaving fans and insiders speculating about what went wrong. This week, the boxing world was set ablaze when Floyd Mayweather appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience to spill the tea on his ongoing beef with Tank. And trust me, it's not just about boxing, it's about pride, betrayal, and power struggles. Let's break it all down. To understand the tension between Floyd and Tank, you've got to go back to the beginning. Floyd Mayweather isn't just any boxer. He's a cultural icon. Undefeated in 50 fights, with a career spanning over 2 decades, Floyd built an empire not just with his fists, but with his business acumen. His promotion company, Mayweather Promotions, was supposed to be the future of boxing, a platform to give fighters the spotlight and financial freedom he once fought so hard to achieve.
And one of the reasons why people watch him fight is not because he's like Mike Tyson, just goes out and destroys people. They like watching him fight because they hate him. Because he talks so much shit, and he's like, look at my $1 million watch, look at my f***ing jet, look at my house, look at this. He's like constantly showing you all these things that he has. Like he'll lay out watches in a hotel bed, like this is $1 million worth of watches. This watch goes for $2 million. And they're like, this is my small watch that I take sometimes, but when I'll show you, when I'll show up, I bring out the big boy, and it brings out this watch that's covered in diamonds. It's like $5 million. And so you hate him.
Enter Gervonta Davis. Hailing from Baltimore, Tank was the perfect candidate to carry the Mayweather legacy forward. Explosive power, charisma, and that undeniable it factor made him a star from the moment he stepped into the ring. Floyd saw this potential early, signing Tank and putting his promotional machine behind him. Together, they created unforgettable moments, from sold-out arenas to viral highlights that dominated social media. But like many mentor-protégé relationships, the cracks started to show as Tank's star rose.
The young kid came up to me when he was a kid, wanted an autograph. I signed his phone for him and told him, you'll be world champion someday, and I'll be your promoter.
As Floyd revealed on Joe Rogan's podcast, success wasn't just the glue that held their partnership together, it was also the wedge that eventually drove them apart. Floyd described how, in the early days, Tank relied heavily on him for guidance. From fight strategy to media training, Floyd was there every step of the way.
They getting better with them pads, man. Oh, yeah.
But as Tank's career gained momentum, he began to assert more independence. Floyd admitted that this transition wasn't easy for him. It's hard to let go, he said, hinting at the difficulties of watching someone you've molded start to carve their own path. Tank, on the other hand, reportedly felt stifled. Floyd's hands-on approach, while beneficial in the beginning, eventually became a source of frustration. From fight negotiations to public appearances, Tank wanted more control over his career, a sentiment Floyd, known for his larger-than-life presence, struggled to accommodate.
Has the time come, I gotta ask you this, has the time come for Tank Davis to take control of his own career and leave Mayweather Promotions?
It don't necessarily have to be leave Mayweather Promotions. It's about just becoming that man, handle your own responsibility, your own priority. So I feel as though it's my career, so I feel as though I need to be the one to control my career. You know what I mean? So, and it's time. You know what I mean? Everybody don't need to, have them training wheels on them forever. You know what I mean? It's time to, ride their own bike without training wheels.
And to be fair, it worked out perfectly for Tank Davis. He started landing deals way bigger than Floyd ever did in his prime. Now that's gotta sting Floyd for sure. A man with an ego like his can't let anyone outshine him in the industry like that.
What set you off that you was like, I gotta do that?
A lot of people don't know that what Floyd do. He said.
So you feel like it was a sub, like he was subbing you, like, oh, like
he was going at me. He was going at me, and I knew for sure he was going at me. That's why I went at him. There's no reason for me to go at Floyd.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Cause I feel like y'all got, I would say love, hate, but it's been like the last interview you showed them love. This week it was whatever. But is that sometimes like, you know, is it just like big bro, little bro seeing things different, or what is it to you?
No, Floyd don't never. He felt as though I'm at that point where as though I passed him. And I'm doing it at a young age. Like when Floyd was 29, you'll see, bro.
Yeah.
That deal that I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, that's a part of
deal. He don't know about that yet. But that's bigger than his deal.
Damn. Wow.
And I'm just releasing it.
It's exclusive. That's exclusive. Bigger than Floyd deal?
Yeah.
Ain't no cap, nigga. That's a lot of bread.
You'll see. It's gonna come out.
So where did all go wrong? Let's hear it from Floyd. Things took a more dramatic turn when the disagreements spilled into the public eye. For Floyd, loyalty is everything, and he expressed deep disappointment over how Tank handled their disputes. On the podcast, Floyd reflected on the infamous interviews where Tank criticized Mayweather Promotions, accusing the company of failing to prioritize his interests. "I've given my whole life to this sport," Floyd told Rogan. "To see someone I've invested in talk about me like that, it cuts deep." Floyd also touched on a key incident that many believe marked the beginning of the end: Tank's decision to leave Mayweather Promotions in early 2022. While the split was framed as a professional decision, it quickly became clear that the separation was anything but amicable. Tank's departure signaled not just a business move, but a symbolic break from Floyd's shadow.
Going back and forth, and I really want to apologize, because a lot of times I go back and, you know, I was always on the internet, I was always the reaction. I wasn't the action, because I never, like I said before, I love my people first. Yeah. I'm never going, you know, but sometimes you can shoot at me, and I really won't say nothing, but, you know, I got to shoot back. You know, I got to teach my children and my family how to defend themselves.
So, what's at the core of their beef? On the podcast, Floyd didn't hold back, explaining that the tension ultimately comes down to respect, or the lack of it. He expressed frustration over what he perceives as Tank's failure to appreciate the platform he helped build for him.
Well, my thing is, I've always been there for him. From day one, we had a game plan, and my game plan was to help him become world champion and take things to that next level. And I've always been there for him. And just over the years, you can see I've always been positive, always said great things about him, always pushed him to be great. And but over the years, it's constantly going on the internet, take a shot at Floyd. Take a shot at Floyd, take a shot at Floyd. Constantly be disrespectful, when all I ever been was respectful to try to help this fighter go as far as he could possibly go. That's all I ever did.
If there's one thing Floyd and Tank have mastered, it's using social media to stoke the flame. Tank can't help but take shots at Floyd online. One of the more surprising revelations from the podcast was Floyd's acknowledgement of Tank's undeniable talent. Despite their differences, Floyd made it clear that he still respects Tank as a fighter. And so does Joe Rogan.
I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy is so unusual. Yeah. His style's so unusual, and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me, because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped him. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings, and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient. Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds. But he also knows he's got that nuclear option, that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
For all the drama, Floyd's podcast appearance wasn't just a rant. It was also a reflection. He acknowledged the mistakes he's made, both as a promoter and as a mentor. Floyd admitted that his perfectionist tendencies often made it difficult to compromise, especially when it came to fighters like Tank, who have their own vision. Most pros criticized Floyd for this and even called him toxic.
When Floyd left Bob Arum, it's good for them to do it and become their own boss. And then if another guy does it, it's not good for the sport. He's disloyal. And what's wrong with Tank saying he want to be his own boss? And honestly, I've been there. The relationship between them two is very toxic. It's a toxic relationship. It's up and down and up and down. And I'm not gonna elaborate to everything that I know, but it's a very toxic relationship. And that's why when I tweet stuff, I don't tweet often, but when I tweet, I may fire off 50 tweets in the day. And that's why when I tweeted certain things about the relationship, Tank retweeted it because he knows. Like, I'm not just gonna say what it is. It's a very toxic relationship. It's back and forth, and I think it will serve him best to go and be his own boss.
Tank and Floyd's situation is much deeper than just a fist fight. For years, Floyd was Tank's promoter, his mentor, and the guy who helped bring him up in the industry. And then it all came crashing down.
So this is your last fight with Mayweather Promotions?
Yes, sir.
You know, Tank announced that he's leaving Mayweather Promotions. What do you have to say about his departure?
My focus, honestly.
Things took a savage turn when Floyd reportedly went full petty with his revenge. Let's be real, Floyd's ego is legendary, and watching his protege steal the spotlight was clearly a tough pill to swallow. Tank claims Floyd stooped so low that he fed inside intel on Tank's strategies to Frank Martin, all in a bid to sabotage the fighter he once vowed to back.
Young fighters, he loves to embrace guys, so what was being around talking to Floyd? Like, what has Floyd taught you about fighting? And has it made you a better fighter? Because he could tell me all day to do that shit he does. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what does being around a guy like Floyd do for you?
He could tell you, go run at 2 in the morning. You know, go do it when, cause 9 times out of 10, we know your opponent sleep at that time. So go run at 2 in the morning and go give yourself a mental edge, you know, like, cause you know you out there working every night at 2 in the morning running. That's a lot of the times your opponent sleep. You know, it could be little things that'll take you to the next level. You know, that Floyd, a person like Floyd, like if he tell you that, you gonna take a lot of heave to it, and it's gonna give you a different type of motivation when you doing it. He could show you something, you know, and it could be the same thing. You know, you might not be able to do it like him, but just it coming from him, it'll give you like a different type of like feel about yourself.
Hold up, limitless, niggas to me got pinning it.
Now, if all that wasn't enough, Floyd didn't stop there. Oh no, he's been hanging out with one of Tank's biggest rivals, Shakur Stevenson. Yup, you heard that right. The same Shakur who's been calling out Tank for months. Apparently, Floyd and Shakur are now training together, fueling speculation that Floyd's entire plan is to get Shakur into the perfect position to take Tank down.
Yeah, I was in the gym with him before I was, when I went to the gym with him, people don't know this, but I went to the gym with him off camera, nobody seen it, and I was kind of like begging him to spar me. And I remember I had a hurt hand at the time. I'm like, man, I don't care. I'll use one hand in there. I just want to get in there with Floyd.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, he was older at the time, so he wasn't the same Floyd Mayweather. I want to say this was like a year, maybe 2 years ago. So, yeah, I've been in the gym with him before. He correct certain things. Floyd even called me, I want to say like 3 weeks ago, and, you know, showed me some new tricks. So at the end of the day, he still, you know, show a lot of love to me.
And just when you think this drama couldn't get any bigger, another bombshell drops about Floyd's motives. Word on the street is Floyd wasn't just salty about Tank's rise to fame, he was furious over Tank dating his ex. Yup, you heard that right. Floyd, clearly not cool with Tank stepping into his past, allegedly took the drama up a notch. In a jaw-dropping twist, Tank claims Floyd went as far as trying to get him locked up, slapping him with bogus charges just to settle the score. For most people, dating someone might not seem like a big deal, but for Floyd, it was the ultimate insult, and there was no way he was letting it go. Tank wasn't wrong. Floyd's approach to revenge is on another level. bordering on downright obsessive. The mind games didn't start here either. Floyd had been stirring the pot for a while, like when he shook up the boxing world by hyping Shakur Stevenson as the top fighter at 135 instead of Tank. Now that's a serious dig.
When you think about the fighters who are fighting now, can you give me your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 when it comes to the lightweight? The lightweight, who you would put where?
Well, you got guys fighting between 130, 135, and 140. They stack, around that area. So, I mean, as of right now,
skills that pay the bills.
Well, the two guys, well, the biggest puncher, I feel, at the 135 will probably be Gervonta Tank Davis.
Mm-hmm.
But the most skillful fighter at 135 will be hands down Shakur Stevens.
And then there's Calvin Ford, Tank's loyal trainer and former friend of Mayweather. Ford has been in Tank's corner through thick and thin, and he's not holding back about this whole mess. He's openly criticized Floyd's actions, saying karma is going to get him. According to Ford, this isn't just a feud anymore. It's a full-on vendetta.
Another thing I want to touch on is the Floyd situation. Floyd is Floyd. That's like I say, Tank is Tank, man. But at the end of the day, the man is chasing greatness. And you should be supporting that. I always tell you that. You should be supporting that, It's a rocky road that we're seeing what's going on. Just pay attention, man. The story is going to reveal itself, But again, that's how you burn bridges. Somebody said this is the true colors of a person that's coming out, man. 'Cause they can't stand it, Calm is the. I don't like using that word calm, but our Lord knows. He knows. He knows. He knows.
But here's the twist. Shortly after all this, Calvin Ford switched sides and joined Mayweather Promotions. That's right, the very coach who helped shape Tank's career and guided him to stardom is now aligned with Floyd. If that doesn't scream betrayal, what does?
Calvin, he been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood restaurant in Baltimore.
When I had to train Tank, when I didn't want him to get in trouble and I wanted to make sure we was together, I used to take him to work with me. And he'd chill. Everybody know him. Everybody know him at work.
Remember, Calvin used to fuss at the guys that was coming up with me, and they was in the streets a lot. He was telling them, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You gotta be, all the way in it. Focus on the goal, and them guys, they went left, and unfortunately, they got killed.
You weigh the odds out like that. Do you want him to go to jail or you want him to live? That's the whole idea, to come to the boxing gym.
If I ain't had the people I had around me, like the people that started with me and things like that, I probably would have been off the scene for a long time.
So, why would Calvin Ford, Tank's ride or die for years, make such a sudden jump? While Ford himself has stayed tight-lipped about the move, insiders suggest he views this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to elevate his career.
Roger never got Trainer of the Year when Floyd was Fighter of the Year. Yeah. His dad never got Trainer of the Year. So, I've been openly expressing that, and I think it's time that Calvin gets his just due.
Yeah. Floyd's empire is massive, and joining Mayweather Promotions opens doors to more fighters, more visibility, and a shot at bigger matches than he could have ever imagined.
So his lifestyle, he may be friends with the guy that fights that fights in the main event, but he can't live the same lifestyle that the main event fighter lives.
Signing with Mayweather Promotions could be Ford's way of moving forward with a professional team that offers him stability, something Tank hasn't always been able to provide.
He didn't have a chance to focus 100% on boxing. One day you're worried about the position that your family is in. You're worried about your living conditions.
So, how's Tank handling all this? Not great. Surprise, surprise. Insiders say he feels completely betrayed, taking this as Ford officially choosing Floyd's side over his. Rumor has it that Tank was already fuming over talk that Ford had been sneaking Floyd private training intel. And now, with this signing, it's like rubbing salt into a wound that's still wide open.
Calvin Ford, what does he mean to you when you hear that name? What does he mean when you first hear that?
A father. Father. And then he's one of the guys that held a lot of this, like, this whole family together. Him with Kenny, but for sure, like, them two, they held the whole camp together, for sure.
Wouldn't be here without him? Would you say that? Without Calvin?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be here without him. Just off of the fact of when I was coming to the gym, I was getting that love that I ain't have at home type stuff. So it was always like, Calvin, saying I walked through the gym, Calvin, like, looking for him type stuff.
He told me he used to come to the gym and you'd be outside, sleep in front of the gym, in front of the door.
Yeah, I used to run from I go to school, and then from school, I go straight to the gym, don't tell my grandma or nothing.
As Floyd and Tank continue their separate paths, one thing is certain: their stories are far from over. Whether they reconcile or remain at odds, their legacies are forever intertwined. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.